Dear students, today let us consider the topic collisions. First, let us consider some examples. Collision between a ball and a bat, carom and a striker, air molecules with one another in the air, and another example is alpha particles and they are bombarding with nucleus of atoms. See, in the above three examples, ball and bat, they are in touch with each other during collision. Here carom and striker or carom with balls, it is in touch when collision is occurring. Here also air molecules are colliding with one another. So here in the above three examples, they are in touch with each other, but whereas here this experiment was conducted by Rutherford. He used alpha particles. Alpha particle is nothing but a helium nucleus. In its nucleus there are two protons. So alpha particle is a doubly ionized particle. It is a positive charged particle. A stream of alpha particles were allowed onto a thin gold foil. So there some of the alpha particles were deflected like this. Most of the alpha particles passed through the gold foil because there are a lot of empty space between nucleus and orbits. So through the orbits and through the empty space, most of the alpha particles passed away, but some of the alpha particles were deflected like this. The reason was the atom nucleus consists of protons and neutrons, and helium nucleus is a positively charged particle. So this positive charge was repelled by the positive charge inside the nucleus. That's why it was deflected. So there is the alpha particles are not touching the atom nucleus. They are just deflected by the electrostatic repulsive force. So this also treated as a collision. So these are some of the examples. Now let us consider two important characteristics of a collision. First of all, consider the momentum of the bodies participating in the collision. Here A body is having momentum PA, B body is having momentum PB. If its velocity is more than this, after traveling some distance, they will collide with each other, and after collision, they are separated and they move with a different momenta. That's why here it is given as PA dash and here it is given as PB dash. See, during collision, the force FBA is force on B by A. So this A ball is exerting some force on B. Similarly, during the same time interval, there is FAB also, that is force on A by B. So this ball is exerting force on this ball, and at the same time this ball is exerting force on this ball. And the exertion of the force is for a common time, and say that is delta T. So they are exerting force on each other for a short interval delta T, and after collision they are moving with a different momentum. Now by Newton's second law is F is equal to delta P by delta T, or F into delta T is equal to delta P. If we consider, suppose, let us consider force exerted by A on B. So let me write FBA. For a time interval delta T. Then what happens? Force on B by A. So this is exerting force on B ball. Therefore its momentum changes. Initially its momentum was say PB, and after collision the momentum is say PB dash. So this gives the difference. Similarly, if we consider this force, for a time interval delta T, say force on A by B. So this is exerting force on A, therefore its momentum changes. Initially its momentum was PA, and after collision its momentum became PA dash. So this is equation 1, this is equation 2. Now by Newton's third law, according to Newton's third law, FBA is equal to minus FAB. These two forces are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. That's why minus sign here. So now if we substitute this value in equation 1, substituting this in one equations, minus FAB is equal to PB dash minus PB. This let us write as it is. Adding these two, PB dash plus PA dash, PA plus PB. So if you get this to left hand side, PA plus PB is equal to PA dash plus PB dash. PA and PB, sum of initial moments of the two balls before collision. This is total momentum before collision, and this is total momentum after collision. So the process of collision is obeying a property, and that is during collision, because the moments individually, the moments of the bodies changing, but total momentum before collision of the two bodies remains constant. Total momentum doesn't change. Total momentum of the system doesn't change because of collision. So that is an important property the collisions obey, whether the collision is elastic or inelastic. Any type of collision obeys this law, and this law already we have discussed in 5th lesson, the law of conservation of momentum. So here we have seen that collisions are obeying the law of conservation of momentum. Now the collisions are two types. elastic collision, inelastic collision. Now let us compare the two types of collisions. In elastic collision, total momentum before collision is equal to total momentum after collision. In elastic collision, in this case also, total momentum before collision and total momentum after collision will be the same, whether it is elastic or inelastic. They obey the law of conservation of momentum. Linear momentum is always conserved. But when we come to the kinetic energy, the total kinetic energy before collision and total kinetic energy after collision will be same in case of elastic collision. But in case of inelastic collision, they are not same. Some of the kinetic energy is being wasted during collision. Now we can consider an example. Here suppose this is the floor. From some height a ball is dropped. The ball collides with the floor. The ball collides with the floor and afterwards it gets rebound. After rebounding, if it comes to the same height, then we say kinetic energy before collision is equal to kinetic energy after collision. So this is possible in case of elastic collision. But here, suppose a body is dropped from some height and it collides with the floor and afterwards it rebounds, but it rises only to some height. Here the height, suppose this is h1 and this is h2. Here h1 is equal to h2 and here it is h1, here it is h2, here h2 is less than h1. It doesn't reach its original height. The reason is some of the kinetic energy is being wasted when it strikes the floor. Here some heat energy is produced. Some of the energy is being wasted. Suppose here when the ball was here, it possesses only potential energy, say potential energy of 10 joules. It is at rest and kinetic energy is 0. So total energy 10 joules. So when it comes and strikes here, see when it strikes with the floor, some heat energy is produced. Say some 2 joules of heat energy is produced. So now it is left with 10 minus 2. So it is left with only 8 joules only. Therefore here it reaches a height of, say, here P 8 joules, K is 0 joules, total 8 joules. So in this way, since it is losing some of its energy in the form of heat, it can't reach its original height. That's why such type of collision is called inelastic collision. And there is another type of collision, that is completely inelastic collision. When two bodies stick together after collision or when two bodies move together after collision is called complete inelastic collision. Let us consider an example, collision between bullet and a wooden target. So when we fire a gun and when the bullet comes and enters this wooden target, then immediately the wooden target rises up. So both move together. So this is an example for complete inelastic collision. Considering momentum and kinetic energy, collisions are classified as two types, elastic and inelastic. But there is another way of classification also. Let us consider the examples. See here, if you look at the diagram, before collision and after collision, the bodies are in a line. Such type of collision is called one-dimensional collision. One-dimensional collision. If we consider carom board, here striker when it hits the carom, afterwards striker moves in one direction and carom moves in another direction. Both do not move like this, but their movements are confined to the plane of the carom board. Their movements are confined to a single plane. So this is an example for two-dimensional collision. This is an example for two-dimensional collision. Now if we consider collision between ball and a bat, see, the ball will be moving in the space. Its motion is not confined to a single plane. That's why here the collision is considered as three-dimensional collision. So a collision can be one-dimensional, two-dimensional or three-dimensional. Now let us consider one-dimensional elastic collision. Now we are considering one-dimensional elastic collision. We know very well that elastic collision obeys law of conservation of linear momentum. That is, total momentum before collision is equal to total momentum after collision. Now let us find total momentum before collision. So this is here before collision. Its mass is m1 and velocity u1. Momentum means mass into velocity, m1 u1. So this is the momentum of this ball. Similarly, here its momentum is m2 u2. So total momentum before collision has come is equal to total momentum after collision. Here after collision, here m1 mass is having velocity v1, therefore m1 v1 is its momentum and m2 v2 its momentum. Now let us rewrite the equation. Let us bring this term to left hand side. And let us take this to right hand side. Now m1 can be taken common. In this m2 can be taken common. Say this is equation 1a and this is equation 1b. Now next, the elastic collision not only obeys law of conservation of linear momentum, it also obeys the kinetic, the law of conservation of kinetic energy also. Conservation of kinetic energy, that is total kinetic energy before collision is equal to total kinetic energy after collision. So formula for kinetic energy is half mv square. So its kinetic energy is half m1 u1 square, and second mass half m2 u2 square. This is before collision. After collision, half m1 v1 square. Second body. Now here rewriting. Let us move the ones to left hand side and twos to right hand side. So this is equation 2a. Now one by 2 m1 can be taken common. In this 1 by 2 m2 can be taken common. One by 2 gets cancelled, or this is in the form a square minus b square, a plus b into a minus b. Suppose this is 2b. Now let us divide 2b equation by 1b equation. Dividing 2b by 1b, we get so we got an equation or the equation can also be written as See here, what this equation suggests, u1 u2 are initial velocities. u1 is initial velocity of body 1 and this is initial velocity of body 2. You can see the diagram here. See the diagram here. It is its initial velocity, this is its initial velocity. This, if this has to collide with this, its initial velocity must be more than its initial velocity, then only it can collide with this. Okay, so now suppose here its initial velocity is 5 meter per second, its initial velocity is some 2 meter per second. Now definitely this will collide with this because it is having more velocity. So now these are the individual velocities. If relative velocity is asked, now since they are moving in the same direction, relative velocity is just the difference between the two velocities, 5 minus 2, 3, or it is moving with more velocity. How much more? 3 meters per second, like that. So or compared to this body, its velocity is, see these velocities are 5 and 2, these velocities are velocities compared to the floor, but when its velocity is asked relative to this body, we say its velocity is 5 minus 2, 3 meter per second. It is moving with 3 meter per second velocity relative to this body. So like this, u1 minus u2 gives you relative velocity between the two bodies. Similarly here v1 v2 minus v1 gives relative velocity between these two bodies after collision. Okay, so this is relative velocity before collision and this is relative velocity after collision. And here before collision the two bodies are approaching each other, and here these two bodies depart from each other. So here we can write this is nothing but relative velocity of approach, and this is equal to, this is relative velocity of separation. Relative velocity of separation. Now suppose we want to find final velocities, that is v1, expression for v1 and expression for v2. Then first of all let us find expression for v1. To find expression for final velocity of first body, what we have to do? We have to make use of 3a equation. From 3a equation, here if you want expression for v1, we should make the equation v2 subject. So this must be substituted this value must be substituted in 1a equation. m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2. In place of v2 we write this u1 plus v1 minus u2. Now here v1, this term is having v1, this also having v1. So now what shall we do? This is having u1 and this is having u1. Let us move this to left hand side. So m1 u1 minus m2 u1. Next m2 u2, here this when brought to left hand side, plus m2 u2 is equal to, in this v1 is common, so m1 plus m2 v1. Now here u1 is common, here this is the same, so 2m2 u2. Or v1 is equal to, let us bring this m1 plus m2 to this side. And this side. Here u2 is there. So in this way we have derived expression for v1. Now if you want to find expression for v2, to find expression for v2, what you have to do is, here again you go for 3a equation. If you want expression for v2, you must make this v1 subject. From 3a, v1 is equal to, move this to right hand side, v2 plus u2 minus u1. So this value must be substituted in 1a, this equation. If you substitute in place of v1, this value if you substitute, by doing like this, you can get expression for v2. So just now we got expression for v1 as and here if we substitute this value in place of 1a, we get expression for v2. So in this way we have derived expressions for final velocities. Now let us consider some special cases. First let us consider sign convention. While using these equations, what sign conventions we must adopt? Number 1, if both bodies are moving in same direction, suppose they are moving to right hand side in the same direction both. So here in this example, here we have taken, here both bodies are moving, m1 and m2 are moving in one direction. So u1 and u2 must be taken positive. v1 and v2 also taken as positive. u1 and u2 are taken positive. Second, if the bodies move in opposite direction, that is m1 body is moving to right hand side and m2 body is moving to left hand side, then if this is taken as positive, automatically this becomes negative. So u1 is taken as positive, negative. Now some special cases. First one, what are the special cases? Both bodies have equal masses. If both bodies have equal masses, it means what? m1 is equal to m2 is equal to m. Then v1 becomes what? m minus m by plus m. Here this m minus m0, this becomes 0. m plus m 2m, 2m by 2m 1, 1 into u2, that is v1 is equal to u2. Similarly, in the second expression, let us substitute. This becomes 0, m minus m plus m 2m by 2m by 1 into u1. So here what happened? See, v1 means final velocity of m1 and here u2, initial velocity of second body, v2 u1. So looking at the equation here, let us take a diagram here. u1, u2. This is m1, this is m2. During collision, after collision, m1, m2, m2. See here, v1 is equal to u2. So let us give some values here. Suppose u1 is equal to 7 meter per second. u2 is equal to some 3 meter per second. Now v1 is equal to u2. v1 is equal to u2. u2 means 3. And v2 is equal to u1. v2 is equal to u1. So v2 is equal to u1 means u1 is 7 meter per second. See here, initially before collision, m1 has 7 meter per second velocity, m2 has 3 meter per second velocity. After collision, the m1 has got 3 meter per second velocity. Its velocity came to this. And m2 has got how much? 7. It was initially this mass. So simply they have exchanged their velocities. After collision, they have exchanged their velocities. So this is possible only when the two masses have equal masses. Now let us consider second special case. Here only first body is moving, second body is at rest. That is, u2 is 0, u1 not equal to 0. And in this, see here, the masses are also suppose same, equal. So let us substitute these values in the v1, v2 expressions. v1 is equal to masses same, u1, 2m by u2. Second body is at rest. Here m minus m 0, v2, 2m1. u2 0. m plus m 2m, 2m by 2m 1, u1. So here v1 0, final velocity of first body. See here, let us draw a diagram. This is a ball and its mass is m1 and it is moving with velocity u1. And here there is another ball of same mass. Let me write here m, not m1, m. It also m, same. It is at rest. It is at rest. So this ball is moving with u1 velocity and hits this. Suppose this is ball A, this is ball B. A ball hits with B ball. So here what is happening after collision? After collision, v1 is equal to 0. That is, its final velocity becomes 0, means it will remain here only. It will remain here only. What about B ball? Its final velocity is v2. Now v2 is becoming equal to u1. Even with whatever velocity it is coming and hitting this, with same velocity it will move. With same velocity it moves. So it means with whatever velocity it hits this, the velocity is given to this ball, so it moves on. This comes to rest. and this is seen in the billiard game. Billiard balls are there. In a game of billiard balls, all balls will have same mass. So this, after hitting this, comes to rest, and this moves on with its velocity. Now here in this, let us consider, suppose lighter body hits a heavier body. Compared to its mass is negligible. So take m1 is equal to 0 and say m2 is equal to m, and it is at rest, u2 is equal to 0. Substituting these values in equation, first equation, we have v1 is equal to c0 minus m by 0 plus m u1 plus, here in the second term u2 is there, u2 is 0, so that becomes 0. So therefore we get here m gets cancelled, here minus sign is there, minus u1. So v1 is equal to minus u1.